Forced to work from home by your employer? Laid off or feeling depressed at home? Do you want to make money working from anywhere? We'll show you how to do it from your couch. It's time for another episode of the Work From Home Show. Coming to you from their homes in Austin, Texas and Tampa, Florida, here are your hosts, Adam and Naresh.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Work From Home Show. Shout out to all our homies, homeboys, homegirls, home trans, all the work from homers out there. I'm Naresh Vissa with Adam Schroeder. Today we have nobody as a guest. It's just you and me, Adam. How you doing?
Alone.
It's been a while. It's been a year, pretty much.
Hot minute.
Our listeners miss us. We get feedback from them, and they're like, when are you guys going to come back on the show? You keep interviewing all these guests. So I guess it's just at the beginning of every year and the end of every year moving forward.
Just have to suffer through, people. Suffer through and wait.
Well, we do have good content, good programming, and there's a reason why, outside of the good content and programming, there's a reason why we're not doing as many banter episodes, because as we left off at the beginning of this year, Adam's been a very busy man. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's busy in a very, very good way.
Well, when we started this show, you were busy because you were a stay-at-home dad who worked from home, probably part-time, and you have 4 kids as a refresher, and you homeschool your four kids, although one just started. I don't want to say just started, but I believe like earlier this year started.
He's at a year.
He's at a year.
Yeah, he finished his second
school?
semester of public school, yeah.
Public school. How are you liking public school, and how's he liking public school? We've done some episodes on that.
I mean, he's fine. He doesn't care about public school. He likes it enough to not come back and do homeschool. I mean, I really think if we'd been able to get him into co-ops and do the things we were wanting to do before the pandemic shut everything down, we'd probably still be homeschooling him, but obviously that didn't happen, and he didn't understand. I mean, he didn't understand that public school was doing the same, stuff. Like, they weren't meeting and doing all of that. It was all online on Zoom, which he didn't get to experience that joy of joys. But for me personally, I hate it, because now we have to do vacations on all the time that everybody and their dog wants to go on vacations, and it's harder for Aaron to get off work, and it costs more. And then you have to worry about, if we do a vacation during the school year, we have to get, we have to pull him out of school, and then he has to catch up on work and all this crap, and it's just a pain.
That's one of the things we've never talked about. It's the flexible schedule working from home. I've been working from home full time since 2013, and I traveled a lot until the pandemic and until my first son was born. I would travel I would say every other month. So when I say
gone all the time,
I would say get on a plane, travel, not get in a car and go 2 hours somewhere.
Yeah, and you did cruises and stuff.
Yeah, I did cruises, traveling around the country, around North America, South America, Asia, and it was not difficult. and it was timeshares, and it was never I have to if I would go, let's say, home for Thanksgiving, I would never fly the week of Thanksgiving. If I did, it would be that Monday before Thanksgiving when it was super cheap flights. If it was Christmas, I would never travel the week of Christmas. I'd go around December 15th or something like that. And I would save so much and spend more time wherever I need to go. If I had a bachelor party to attend, I would never go on the bachelor party dates. I would probably, because most bachelor parties start on a Thursday or a Friday, I would travel on the Wednesday before, just stay an extra day, maybe crash at a friend's place or stay at a lower cost Airbnb and leave a day after, leave 2 days after. I would make a real vacation out of anywhere that I went. And so that's a good point that you bring up, where you're working from home, you have flexibility, your kids are homeschooled, they have flexibility, and now you're on this timeline of the 2-week or 2.5 week winter break, the 3 month summer vacation, the 1 week spring break. Yeah, it probably sucks. And I think about it too. When my kids start school, I think about that and I'm like, darn it, we're gonna have to, spend a lot more and be
Yep.
more selective about when we can travel, not just travel on a whim.
We're gonna do Disney this in 2023, the second week of public school. So we'll be pulling them out for a week.
You have to, especially for Disney. I told my brother-in-law this. We spent time with his family over Christmas, and he asked me, he said, when's the best time to go? And really the best time to go is 3 or 4 months. February, October, uh, those are actually 2 months. Yeah, I would say February and October are the two best months to go because there are no holidays. There's no like Thanksgiving week off or Christmas or summer or whatever. The lines are less, and for Disney, it's so packed. You want small lines, and you're paying an arm and a leg. So, but you have kids who go to school. How are you you're gonna have to take them out of school for a week to go on vacation in February or December.
Yep.
I also brought up April. So it's February, April, February, April, and October. That's what I meant to say. February, April, and October. Those are definitely the three best months to go. But good stuff all around, Adam. We actually, again, we have the flexibility since our kids are so young. And by the way, yes, I have kids now. We welcomed our second child, another boy, in June of this year. And the transition has been great. It's much better than the first child. And I remember maybe you said on this show, I think you said it on this show where the second kid is like a little blip. It was just not, it hasn't been very difficult taking care of both kids, the older kids in daycare. And really, I've had no problems getting my work done, doing this show. We'll talk about work in a little bit, your work, my work, but it's been great. And instead of going for Christmas break, we went before Christmas because we kind of decided that it makes sense for my wife to work holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas because the hospitals are way easier, way more efficient. There aren't as many patients coming in. It's just easier to work those holidays than the non-holidays. So we took a family trip. I don't want to call it a vacation, a family trip. Like 10 days before Christmas, even more than that, 2 weeks before Christmas. And we were gone for 8 or 9 days. We were gone. So that's another benefit that you have with flexibility. If you homeschool your kids, if you work from home. In my case, my wife, she works half the year. She's 1 week on, 1 week off. So we were able to do that. But we started thinking again, like what you said, okay, what do we do in like 5 years when both the kids are going to be in school? We'll figure that out later.
Sort it out later.
We'll sort it out later. We've got time, unlike you. So Adam, when we left off earlier this year, you were the man as far as working from home went. You picked up a new client. You were crushing it. Tell us how your year working from home went.
Really, really good. This was the most I've made in a year by far. I worked fewer hours this year than I did last year.
That's crazy.
I know you kind of have it down to where you're only working like 1 to 2 hours a day. I probably work, I would say, 4 to 5 a day.
Well, I will say I work 1 to 2 hours. Okay, so I work about 1 to 2 hours a day on one specific client. But overall, I would say it's more like 3 to 4 hours a day that I work at 5 days a week. And then on weekends, I put in maybe 1 hour a day on Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm getting I'm settling into a groove with this new client, and it'll probably stay about 4 hours a day, and just
And just to give, because some listeners, they don't know what you mean by when you say it's the most money I've ever made in my career. So I'll just say it's well into the six figures. That way we can give the
yeah.
audience an idea
I
of.
I will say from my full-time job to this, I have cut my work hours in at least half, and I have over 2x my pay.
Well, I remember your full-time job very well because I was your intern,
Yeah.
and you were working a lot. This was 15 years ago or so. And I remember you were working a lot and you were getting overtime, I believe, but
Yeah.
still, you were like, I would get into the office around 9 a.m. every morning, and you were every single time you were already there, and you're like, oh, I've been here for like 2 hours already.
Yeah.
And you were one of the last people to leave the office too, if I recall.
Yeah,
And
and I
and
was
that
just, and I
that
mean, I was one of those people that I was just banking overtime because Aaron was working. I mean, in reality, was I actually working those 10 hours I was there? No, nobody was. But
and that's why that company went bankrupt.
that's that's not the only reason.
Yeah, that's not the only
But
reason.
but
That
yeah, I mean,
company had all sorts of issues.
I mean, that's the great part is like whenever I say I'm working 4 to 5 hours a day now, on a big day I'll work 6 hours. But like if I say I'm working 4 to 5 hours, I'm working 4 to 5 hours. Like it's not
Yes,
jacking around. It's
same with me.
yeah,
When I say I'm working 3 hours a day, I'm working 3 hours. Like I'm actually doing stuff, creating value. It's not a lot of how a lot of these corporate jobs are where you're just messing around. So
yeah,
yeah, I think that's great because you and I have worked together this year, working from home. We've been working together on the real estate side, and I think we're both creating a lot of value. Like we can see actual sales figures that we're generating, revenue numbers, value that we're adding to our clients, and we're sharing here on this episode. Like you're working 4 hours a day, I'm working 3 hours a day.
yeah,
And so it's great. It's worked out really well. And our clients love us too. It's not like they don't like us or they think we're lazy. They're like we're offering so much value to them in those 3 to 4 hours that they like us a lot. I mean, I hear from your boss all the time, and you've gotten promoted. Like when we last did the episode, you had just joined, and you've gotten promoted like twice or three times already.
yeah. It's been good, and I mean, we have a platform that clients can leave us reviews, and I've gotten a lot of reviews over the last year, and they have all been, you know, glowing, and it's been really nice to hear. And then people come back and tell me like, hey, this happened, and it allowed me to do this, that, and the other, and it's always good to hear the stories of people, actually getting value out of what you helped them accomplish.
And in my case, people ask me all the time, you have two kids now, how do you do this? And I think this coming year is going to be a very good year because unlike you get paid upfront, whereas I have a lot of accounts receivable coming in. So I think 2023 is going to be pretty good because of the accounts receivable. But people ask me, how are you able to do this? Like you have two kids, you stay at home, you work. And the older kid goes to daycare, which makes it easier for sure. And then the younger kid, I did hire a part-time nanny, which I brought up earlier this year. We've had her for almost 2 years now. She's a huge help. She does our laundry. She cooks for us. She takes care of the kids. She only comes for about 10 hours a week. So it's not a long time that she's coming. She comes for about 2 days a week. I should take that back. She comes for about 1 day a week on average, 4 times a month, or let's just say once a week. So it comes out to about 10 hours. Actually, not even. She comes for like 5 hours a week. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When my second son was born, because it was a transition, we were having her come for 10 hours a week. but we scaled back once I figured things out. And so, yeah, it's just 5 hours a week, and she cooks, she cleans up around the house, does our laundry, folds. So the house is kept nice, stuff around the house gets done. Food is never an issue. And I schedule all my meetings, I should say most of my meetings, when the nanny is at our house so that I can come upstairs and work at my home office and just knock out meetings. So that's how I do it. And then as far as the actual work goes, I can work with my kids around. It's not a problem, especially with my little baby. I just either while he's napping or he's in his boppy or baby Bjorn, or if he's playing, he'll just be doing that, and I knock out most of my work. It's not a problem at all. So it's really not that difficult. I still hear from a lot of people, staying at home with kids, it's like impossible to get work done, but it's really not. In fact, if I didn't have my work, I don't know what I would do. I don't know how these pure 100% stay-at-home parents, how they do it, because I would get bored out of my mind. Like, I wouldn't be able to function.
Yeah, no, it's, no, no, just no.
No, thank you. That's why we started this show, to help people find work or make money from home.
Well, let's talk about what you were just saying, because one of the things when people talk about like being a stay-at-home parent, it's kind of looked on as going to be the full-time not working thing, which leads to, let's just say it the way it is. Most of the time, it's a woman staying at home. So the man leaves, does the work, comes home. The woman has stayed home with the kids. Probably cooked, cleaned, done all that stuff, and that's just kind of your division of labor. It can't be that way with work from home, but that can be a tricky conversation to have.
Let's hear more, Adam. This is kind of new to me.
What's your breakdown of household activities? Like, who has to do what?
So I'll share how we do things, and I did bring up, so the nanny does the cooking, and she does
cook for the entire week. Like, she doesn't do breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the entire week.
She cooks enough. In the one day that she's here, it lasts us about 3 days. My wife brings home from the hospital, or she brings food home from the hospital, which helps because she gets free hospital food. And then we do eat out quite a bit. When I say eat out, I don't mean like going and sitting down. I mean like getting takeout or like ordering pizza. And then I cook once in a while. And then when she's off, when my wife is off, she's off for the entire week, she'll cook something. Like, she actually wants to do it now. And then, yes, we do have some help from my in-laws. We don't see them much, but when they do come, like once a month, or if we visit them, let's just say once every 2 months, they either cook a bunch of food if they visit us, or they give us a bunch of food if we visit them to take back home. So there's that, and then
what about just day to day? Day-to-day cleaning.
We just kind of get by with the food. Like, it's not an issue. And then I told you the laundry, nanny does that. We also have a housekeeper who cleans the house, just cleans it all up. We have a landscaper who does all the landscaping.
How often does the housekeeper come?
Just once a month.
Yeah. So I'm talking about, like, post dinner, you got dishes.
I do those.
Okay.
I mostly do the dishes. I would say like 90% of them. And then as far as like bottles go for my little ones, same thing. I mostly like do all that cleaning, sterilizing. When my wife is off, she basically has 100% ownership of the little kid, the baby, and I have 100% of the older kid. So that's how we split it up. It's like, you handle the younger kid, I handle the older kid. And then when she's working, I probably do, when she's at the hospital, I'll split it with the nanny if she's available. If not, then I'll take care of the younger kid. And then when she can work from home a little bit, like in the morning, and also when she comes home from work. So it's pretty easy to take care of a 6-month-old. She'll just have him hanging out while she's doing her work in front of the computer. So it's really just a lot of scrambling and a lot of getting by. As the kids get older, let's say they both go off to school, I think it's actually going to be easier because I'm going to start cooking more. I'm going to make an attempt to like learn how to cook more, and she'll basically be off like when she's off. She doesn't have to take care of like a baby or a kid anymore. So yeah, we got help through our in-laws, through the nanny, through the housekeeper, landscaper, you name it. And I handle all the household, just general management, you know, the internet, the the cable, I've done a lot of upgrades around our house. We redid our backyard. You know, I handled all that, like the contractors and all that. We had some air conditioning issues. Anything that happens in the house, I handle. You know, I call the people, the maintenance people. I'm at home. The plumbing issues, we had quite a few plumbing issues this year. So yeah, I handle all that. Even with the nanny, I'm basically like the super project manager, the super house manager. That's how we do.
Yeah, we're in the process of hiring a housekeeper for this year, but that was one of the things that we kind of had a sit down about was, you know, just because I'm working from home doesn't mean that I've got all day to clean and cook and do all those things.
Yeah, that's
it's an important conversation to have. Be like, hey, you know, I'm not, and I know you said, I don't remember if it was your family or your wife's family at some point looked at you from working at home and were like, well, what does your lazy ass do all day? You're just sitting around eating chips, and you got to be like, no, that's really not.
Still my pajamas. Yeah, it's a new concept that people don't understand. Like, how can you be in your pajamas? You look like you haven't showered in days.
I found that I actually do better when I do dress up for work. Like I will put on like a decent pair of clothes to like do my work sometimes, because otherwise I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna bum around today and that kind of stuff. And then I don't know, it's kind of one of those mental tricks where I will actually sometimes dress up, even if it's just like jeans and a decent t-shirt, you know, like a polo or something like that.
Yeah, I don't do any of that. I'm naked sometimes. You'll call me, you know, business call. I'm like completely naked.
I didn't need to know that. Things I don't need to know. That's one of them.
There was an article that I sent you a few months ago on this topic, and it was very like pro stay-at-home mom specifically. And I'm going to read some of these snippets where it's like, being a stay-at-home parent is the most stressful job.
False.
Because it requires feeding, bathing, changing, cleaning, soothing, and more for your children. That doesn't decrease the amount of work being a stay-at-home parent takes. People who don't stay at home with their kids falsely assume it's an easy job. That's far from the truth. Stay-at-home parents have the most challenging job in the world. I don't know who
False.
wrote that. The parents who stay at home with their kids don't get a break from emotional, mental, and physical energy that it requires.
Also false.
And then they give 10 reasons why staying at home is the hardest job. And so they give, there's no salary, there's no health benefits. I'm going to run through these really quickly. There's no salary, there's no healthcare benefits. You can't say no as a stay-at-home parent. I'm going to explain that a little bit. In a regular job, employees can speak up for themselves and say no if they don't want to take on tasks. However, if you're stay-at-home, you can't say no. You have to do every task.
So somebody needs to learn how to tell their kid no. I mean, my kids hear me tell them no a lot.
Or you tell your spouse no.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it also means. You don't get breaks. A lot of this is just this parent, whoever wrote this, just, I don't think they parented properly. And here's why I can debunk like a lot of it. And you said some of this stuff is false. When I was taking care of my older son, when it was just me taking care of him, it was like a freaking vacation. Like the kid would play by himself most of the day. He'd take a nap for like 3 hours in the middle of the day, which means I took a nap in the middle of the day. Like I ate really well. I ate 3 meals a day, which I hadn't done in like decades because I would always skip breakfast because I never woke up in time for breakfast. It was like the chillest job, you know, the whole can't say no. You don't get breaks. I completely disagree. And even after we had the baby, the second kid, uh, there was one weekend where my wife went on a trip, a girls trip, and so we dropped off the baby with my in-laws. So it was just me and my older son again. And once again, it was like a vacation. It was like so freaking easy. But let's keep going on. The hard work of stay-at-home parents goes unseen. Therefore, that makes the job harder. People assume it isn't a real job. Yeah, some of these reasons are just.
Let's be honest. It isn't a real job. It's not.
I completely agree.
It's not a job. It's a lifestyle.
I completely agree. And I hear people tell me that. They're like, oh, especially older people. Oh, yeah, it's a full-time job taking care of a kid. And I'm like, no, it's not. It takes like my older kid, he eats on his own now. Like that's not a job. And even when I feed my 6-month-old, like to call that a job is like, no, it's not a job to like feed a 6-month-old.
I mean, there's stuff you have to do. It does take time, but I mean, it's not.
It has to get done. Stuff has to get done. You have to.
But I mean, it's either you have to do it or you have to pay someone to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you don't get to eat an uninterrupted lunch. I mean, okay, if you're gonna complain, that's what makes the job so hard. Whatever.
I mean, I have to schedule a lunch hour into my day to make sure it happens.
Yeah.
And I still check my email and will respond to text messages and stuff during my lunch hour.
These reasons are just so lame. I mean, come on. Stay-at-home parents suffer from social isolation. I'm going to disagree with this because I had so much downtime working from home and being a stay-at-home parent that I improved my friendships and relationships, whether business or personal, because I would just call people up who I hadn't talked to in such a long time. I'd just call them up and catch up, go for walks, take my kid for a walk, call my friends. I disagree with the whole social isolation thing. Yeah, you can't go out as much, that's for sure, but there are other ways you can still be socially connected.
I mean, there's a whole parent group, mommy group type stuff that is designed strictly for that, but that's a different beast. But let's get into our working from home. How did Chris do? How did Chris Media do this year?
So, like I told you, I've got accounts receivable coming in. To be honest with you, for the past 5 years, I just don't really know exactly how either of Chris Media or Chris Capital, my real estate company, I don't know how they do until my accountant does the taxes.
Yeah, your accounting blows my mind. Whenever I ask you how your properties are doing and you just don't know, that blows my mind.
Well, because I have somebody who handles all that for me.
Yeah, but you got to watch your managers. You got to manage your managers, man.
I do manage my managers, and they do my bookkeeping. They send me my tax forms. They send me my ledgers, my balance sheets, not my balance sheets, but my income statements. And I just download it. I do take a look at it, but I'll just forward it on to my accountant. And he has access to all my accounts, my credit cards. He knows where money's coming in, where money's going out, what he can deduct, what he can't deduct. And then I look at my return. But overall, just based on, I know how I'm doing based on, was I able to take my full 401k, which I did this year, and still have money left over to pay myself after all the deductions, business expenses, etc. So overall, I would say it was a good year given how little I worked. But at the same time, I know that it was a transitionary year because I've got all these accounts receivable. And so I know that 2023 is going to be a very, very good year. It has the potential to be a great year. So overall, I have a feeling this was probably my worst year since 2016 because of how the commissions and payments and deals were structured. But for it being a bad year for me, relatively speaking, it was still a good year. Like I said, I was able to still take my full 401k amount and still had a decent amount of money left over.
My goal this year is to increase my income 50%.
Go for it. Well, I will also say I'm in, unlike you, you're mostly invested in real estate. I'm also heavily invested in stocks and crypto. Not a good year. Not a good year. NASDAQ down about 40%, close to 40% as of this recording year to date. Not year to date, from the highs of 2021 to
year to date, it's probably only like 25%.
No, year to date, it's actually more like 33%, somewhere around there, 30 to 35%, because it peaked in November of last year. And then crypto, I'm not going to do the math, but it's ugly.
Yeah. But it's multiple double digits.
We're talking like
60, 70%.
70%, yeah, because it peaked at about 69,000 Bitcoin, and today it's at around 16,000.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not good. That's not good. But hey, I'm well diversified, so that's a good
well diversified in a bunch of failing assets.
Well, some of them are failing, but you stick with it. And we're gonna have an expert on crypto come on at some point, because I still think there's a great opportunity. This is not the time to run for the fences. I think it's really, really good opportunity. So, anything else, Adam, that you want to talk about before we get to the feedback?
I've just been using this last time. December in our field is a slower month, so I've been taking the month and planning out my goals for the next calendar year, and I've got some big goals, man. I've got some.
That's good.
Big goals, a lot of stuff I want to do, and I added up how much it's all going to cost, and we're swinging for the fence, man.
I think you have to. I think if you have big goals, if you want to live the life that you've always dreamed of and that you want your children to live, you have to swing for the fence. Especially when you're younger, like you and I are. We're both millennials. You just have to do it. Like, you only live once. Why not? And when you're in a good position work-wise, to where you have your job or your clients, and your wife is stable, my wife is stable, I have my clients, my job, you got to go for it. That's how a lot of people I know made it big. They didn't stay complacent working their regular job. Let's put it that way. So let's get to some feedback really quickly before we wrap up, Adam. We had one feedback from a guest he ended up not coming on our show. His feedback was, if your show was completely freestanding on its own site, I would be there as a guest. And then maybe no one ever again will have an issue with it, end quote. That's what he emailed me. And this is a guest who you wanted on the show. You invited this guest on, or you asked me to invite this guest on, because I think you used to work with him, or you used to
RG?
listen to him. I think so.
Yeah.
And his problem was that we either had some guests who were controversial, or we posted things on our social media, private social, not the work from home show, but private social media, that were controversial. And my response to this is, dude, like, take a chill pill. Like, we're not CNN or Fox News. Like, we're this tiny 18 listeners. Like, he basically said that he couldn't be associated with us, and I took that as a compliment. Wow, I guess we made it.
What are you gonna do? I mean, if you didn't like what I was posting and what you were posting, he was pretty much it has to be straight down the middle, and you can't talk about anything, because you and I were posting some diametrically opposed things in some cases. And if you had a problem with both of them.
I don't post much on social media.
I don't either. I stopped after when we got back from Belize. I pretty much hopped off of social media for good.
Yeah, but he went through our social media. He went through our previous episodes, and yeah, I did say some politically charged things on previous episodes, and we did have some politically charged guests for sure. But in any case, to me, it was just like, this is a little overboard. Like, this is a little too much, man. Like, what's going on? Type of thing. But anyway, good for him. It probably made him happy, and to reject us. And his whole thing was, I work with a lot of different clients and they're left, right, everything in between. and I can't take a side. And by coming on your show, I'm taking a side. I'm like, no, you're not. Like you said, you and I are diametrically opposed, and whatever, dude, whatever floats your boat. So let's also quickly, we have a little bit more feedback, but I also want to go through some stats. I don't know if you have the stats pulled up.
I do not.
We had a pretty good year as far as stats go. We now have over 30,000 listeners. Isn't that decent, Adam?
that doesn't suck.
It does not suck. And as far as our most popular episodes go, I want to talk about or just share the two most popular episodes this season. But I also want to share one episode from last season, which surprised me because it did not make the cut when we did our year-end episode last year, but it had a surge this year, surprisingly. And so the two most popular episodes this season, I've got it pulled up right now, and I don't think it's that surprising, but the most popular episode was episode 27, The Hidden Cause of the Autoimmune Pandemic episode with Dr. Stephen Phillips and the other one, Dana Parrish. So they came on together. It was with two guests. And so that was kind of like that was a medical episode, if you remember that. And that was number one, surprisingly. Another just very popular medical episode. So check that out, episode 27, The Hidden Cause of the Autoimmune Pandemic and How to Get Healthy Again with Dr. Stephen Phillips and Dana Parrish. That was number one. Number two, which this one is less surprising in my opinion, but number two was Work Smarter and How to Turn Your Spare Time into
$1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month or more with Nick Loper. So that was a pure work from home episode on side gigs, side hustles, and turning your spare time into $1,000 a month or more. So that was episode 26.
July was a good month.
July was a good month. And just in case there's some kind of anomaly where, who knows, some bot or something just threw us a lot of listeners in July of that month, let's just give the next most popular episode, which is episode 32, August 12th, 2022. Customer Service is Dead, Delivering 6-Star Service in a 1-Star World with Mitch Graff. That was pretty good. That was a guy who ran the minor league baseball team for like a year or two, and he's a customer service expert. Pretty solid episode. But I also want to share that in season 2, I don't know if you noticed this, Adam, but in season 2, the episode 50 in season 2, what the polyvagal theory and COVID can tell us about ourselves and our work lives, with Stephen Porges, Dr. Stephen Porges. Surprisingly, that surged. I don't know what happened. It wasn't even in the top 5 during last year. It was published a little later in the year, but still, it didn't look like it was going to do that well. And it absolutely surged. It was pretty surprising. So I don't even remember, do you even remember what is it polyvagal or polyvagal?
It was polyvagal. I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember much about that episode, to be honest.
I don't either. I want to go back and listen to it because I just don't even remember. But yeah, that episode did really, really well. So people might want to go back and listen to that. Any thoughts about the episodes or this year? Just overall, what do you think?
No, I mean, it was just had some fun interviews. I mean, we've got interviews lined up for the long future, so we'll be around.
We're going to be around. We did mention last year that we did renew the show for season 5, and I'm happy to announce that we are renewing it for season 6. But I don't know if there's going to be anything after that. So we will see. This was supposed to be, you remember this was supposed to be like a 1 season, 6 episodes. I have a feeling if we do renew it for like a season 7 or season 8, those seasons are going to be, like 6 episodes or 7 episodes. But we are going to have full weekly podcasts through the end of season 5 for sure.
And then after that, we're only talking like Obama and Trump and Bush and those kind of people.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what's there's a chance season 6 could be weekly also, but yeah, season 7 onward will definitely, I think, be shortened. We'll have more banter episodes, but hey, that's like a long time from now. I can't believe we're already done with 3 seasons. But we'll finish some more of this feedback. We were named, Adam, by a company called Teleboo as one of the best podcasts for remote workers.
Woohoo.
And we were up there with we were up there with Work Life with Adam Grant. That's a super popular podcast. We were up there with The Remote Show, Digital Nomad Cafe with Adam Finnan. We were number 4. That's like, wow.
Yeah, those are some real names.
18 listeners. So that's great. We also got some feedback on Twitter from some haters. So that's great. One hater, we had Dr. B.S. Ajay Kumar on the show, and a patient of one of his hospitals tweeted us basically bashing Dr. B.S. Ajay Kumar's hospitals and saying he wasn't treated right. And I didn't get in the middle of it, but he like copied us on the tweet, or he did the @ mention on the tweet, and it went to them, like that hospital Twitter account as well. And they took care of this patient. They were like, hey, let's get on the phone and work this out. And so glad we could facilitate that problem for this random listener in India.
Helping in more ways than we know.
Yep. And outside of that, the feedback, we get it once in a while here and there. I just wanted to share the 2 most important pieces of feedback that caught my attention, that caught my mind. I think that's pretty much it for us, Adam. Any final thoughts you want to share before we sign off on this 2022?
Just appreciate everyone listening, and yeah, look forward to continuing to provide value.
Yep. And by the way, we'll be back next week because it's going to be a brand new year. So to all our listeners, check us out, workfromhomeshow.com. You can follow us on social media there. You can get on our mailing list. We still send out some goodies on that mailing list. We want to thank all of you sincerely for continuing to follow us, for the more than 30,000 listeners that we have. We never imagined that, to go from the 18 to what we are doing today. And again, please leave us a review. iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, whatever podcasting platform you use. And until next year, keep on working from home.